1847, the Black Death got its claws into Florence. Dead people like sacks of gall. The insidious inside interests, parvenu of iniquities, the time quake, and the tempest. The 1848 Vienna Rebellion, barricades, endless tedium interrupted by heavy blasts of blue-hot trauma and incipient maiming. I am on a roof, looking in the autumn of 1347, Dante's diabolic workshop. Pinocchio, the vainglorious, in green velvet dinner jacket, cornering the narcotics racket, and bragging to how much blue he could pump out of his alto sax when he and the combo lay in real smooth that low, lonely Minnesota nights fugue. Celebrities like Richard Wagner found themselves in Vienna standing beside the revolutionaries in their looting, counter-bombardment, and rallying songs and slogans to get them through the tedious parts, where nothing nearby is exploding in piping hot shards. The famous painter Gustave Courbet was a fellow traveler and at very least a sympathizer to the Parisian communards of 17 years later, who likewise built barricades and seized parts of the city and then in turn learned like the Viennese anarchists and communards had learned. The state will kill indolent, unemployed insurrectionists in large number and with impunity, because there is nobody in the world who cares about these unkempt and histrionic enemies of the state. Dante, in his wood shop, caresses a very clean edge, stares into his crystal ball, and makes a stalwart pledge. When they send us into space for extremely long rides, and somehow the span of our lives expands into the whole expanse of life sizzles and fries, and all the lights go out very far away, and we won't ever make it back to the Martian docking bay. In a state of emergency, one would ordinarily eject. But this planet we landed on oh so long ago has the only fungible molecular setup left. Everything else, just the dice that God is not throwing. If it sounds a little like sleight of hand, that's because it's Schrödinger's house of luck. And you ain't any longer any kind of young buck.
They had beaten themselves into my brain. They were small, narrow, pointed, cold and capricious. They glistened like rusty nails in the moon.
Alexander the Great visited historical sites like Troy, where he paid homage at the tombs of heroes like Achilles, and visited the temple of Athena. He also visited Babylon, which he made his capital. During his conquests, he also made significant stops in Alexandria and Persepolis. If Alexander the Great's vacation preferences indicated deep love of Homer, it is interesting to note that Alexander the Great lived already some 500 years after Homer. Dante is in the cemetery gathering materials for his girlfriend come particle accelerator. It is rude to say that an Italian is greasy, but our Dante surely is. A whole lot of fuss for not a lot of fizz. Like with the drunk people after a wedding, I can be good at forgiving and forgetting. up the vine and unwind. Toss back a straight double of Valentine's. And kick Dante in his snoot, where he might pause himself and rewind. If not a conjurer exactly, surely at least a coot. Do you ever just jump and move across country to the accompaniment of a lute? Caper. Ladies' chamber. To the lascivious pleasings of Dante's bruised snoots. Prospero, our sentry, explains that for 13 weeks the sea has been acting funny. And not funny ha-ha, as I guess you can imagine, as out on the sea misfortunes well known to happen. The USS Indianapolis was torpedoed by a Japanese submarine on July 30th, 1945. It sank in the Pacific Ocean. After the sinking, the nearly 900 survivors were left stranded for several days, during which time large numbers of oceanic white-tip sharks attacked and devoured many. Alexander the Great was bisexual.
A worm a day keeps the doctor away. 2 worms a day keep 2 doctors away. 3 worms a day keep 3 doctors away. 4 worms a day keep 4 doctors away. Thank you both for this spontaneous outbreak of deafening applause.
Brother Theodore, it's a pleasure to meet you.
The Opium Wars were fought by Britain and France in the mid-19th century and led to China being forced to legalize opium and open more ports. Chinese opium became a weapon against Chinese people. Later on, the U.S. state apparatus would apply sinister, underhanded methods of assuring a large, ongoing supply of narcotics in the inner city and in disenfranchised communities. Very often in the war on drugs, drugs become tools the state uses in conducting domestic warfare. There are currently about 69,000 drug offenders serving time in U.S. federal penitentiaries. The U.S. homicide rate was about 25 times higher than that of Japan in 2023. When you've gone a long time out in space without warmth or tenderness or touch, you definitely learn to rub yourself good and to appreciate it very much. The fur trade was a boondoggle. Now everyone's in Dutch. I used to have a lot of examples confess they weren't worth much. Love is a publicity stunt, said Louise Brooks, before adding,